This has to do with tracking down clients. As I get older, I'm finding out, like, really the whole thing with like finding the right people and positions and knowing how the networks really work and knowing the real mechanisms. It's like it's hammered into me at this point, like how important that is. Because as an artist, you really don't take none of that seriously, and you think everybody's going to take care of that for you. But what you find out is you're getting screwed over when you think like that. Somebody's taking advantage of you. So, anyways, the trick is we search for Vimeo for leads, at least for my interest, which is to find a trailer music editor. So the first thing is we search Vimeo, which is one really important factor because it's much harder to find them on YouTube because we're talking about a needle in a haystack versus a smaller haystack. So that's important point number one. And the next thing is understanding the right terminology for the very precise thing that you're looking for, because you're not looking for a music supervisor. You're not looking for you are looking for a music editor, but it's sort of more explicit than that. So if you type in these terms, it may or may not lead to anything significant. But knowing like the real terminology that the real professionals use, at least one version of it, is a way to fine tune and hone in to find a real, the real thing that you're looking for. So in my instance, I'm looking for TV promo editors, which is their sort of title, and they're also called predators, which is really nice. but but of course, searching for all that stuff is kind of tricky. But generally, you want to look for something like a network, maybe like NBC. You would use the word spot. So that's one of the keys. So they use these cute terms for their lingo, their jargon of their industry. So they have multiple ways of providing terminology for this. One is spot, one is teaser trailer, one is trailer, one is promo, and then of course commercial. But they really, like, they do serve like explicit functions, but in the generalized sense, it's spot. So if we search like NBC spot, what we see is a lot of people showing off their repertoire because Vimeo, unlike YouTube, is about showing off like your portfolio and your repertoire in a quality setting. So, for instance, I can search like credits on YouTube and promo on YouTube, and I'll find thousands and thousands of things. Again, we're distilling this haystack. So, like even just seeing this thumbnail, I can see that in the time, I can see it's precisely the sort of person that I'm looking for. And another difference with Vimeo is that they literally list explicitly the name of the person. Now, sometimes they even list like a title, like there it says producer, filmmaker, storyteller, producer, editor for Fox. So that's pretty remarkable. So right now, this exists. This is like a hole in the the ability to breach into the systems of the professionals to sort of try to connect with them, even though you don't have any connection with them at all. And the whole point is, of course, just looking for work. And so, anyways, this is a really cool way, I guess I'll cut it off here because I'm kind of rambling, to look for things very explicitly, but you have to know where, and the where is Vimeo in this case, and the who is also important, and the what terminology is also important. And you can try a couple different terms, like if I had to use the word TV spot instead of just spot, it would be different. If I use the word TV promo, it would be different. But then what also happens is you get more information, because when these people list things, they list all this other jargon, along with their video presentation. So, for instance, it says launch spot, and over here it says image spot, and then it says brand promo. So it's really cool. These people are definitely oriented, towards this professional editing. If it's not the TV world that you're looking for, then it could be another site altogether that you'd want to find your leads. But I thought this was really cool, and this is like a huge backdoor. But because again, these people don't want to hear from people like me. They don't want to hear anything at all because they're already bombarded with the corporate side. Because people like this, they work for corporate heavily, and they gave it up to corporate a long time ago, and they definitely do not want to get 1,000 emails from people saying, "Oh, it's so unfair that you don't just place my music." So you get past all of that political stuff, and you just you can kind of interact with them in a social media kind of context, which is really barely little. Um, and like here, it even says he's available for hire. So to me, that could say, well, maybe he's not doing anything current. So another thing I can do is look into like what's their latest spot, what's their latest stuff. And when you dig into their profile, you'll find additional ideas about like terminologies or products that have, at least in my case, that need music. And it just goes on and on what these people do. So it's a really great way to expose yourself to, really direct ways and paths to building a better network, a better quality network. And then there's, of course, ways to distill that and the ways to distill that. And this is sort of outside the scope of LinkedIn. And so this is what you would do if you really wanted to find who the mover and shaker is, because they list 1 billion people on LinkedIn, and the mover and shaker doesn't want to talk to you. And the indie guy, he wants to talk to you, but he doesn't have any work. So you're sort of looking for that in-between guy who sort of has a few connections, and then he or she can get you the work you're looking for, the placement you're looking for, or hopefully, provide some kind of pointer, or maybe even information if they're willing to do that, which probably they're not. They're just very busy people. That's all it's about. And they're very tired of, like, how would you feel if you had, 10, new artists asks you the same questions every day. How can I get my music in your stuff? How can I get? So I've never really asked any of these people how I can get my music into their editing and all this stuff. Generally, you want to have the liaison taking care of that. But when you're doing independent stuff, you do want to try to finesse some sort of interaction in a very passive way so that you don't bother them, hopefully.